The early days of European settlement in Australia were a rugged and challenging frontier, where the stories of ordinary men and women often faded into the mists of time. Among the tales lost to the annals of history lie the captivating accounts of remarkable women who etched their names in the sands of destiny. Among them, the vibrant figures of Pretty Sally of Walhalla and Agnes Buntine of Gippsland shimmer like stars in the night sky. Their legacies are now whispered only in hushed tones, their extraordinary lives vanishing into forgotten legends. Agnes Buntine, revered as the White Mother of Gippsland, holds an indelible place in history as the mother of the first white child to be born in Gippsland. Her son, Albert Buntine, was born on September 17, 1841. Her tale of resilience and tenacity is woven with threads of extraordinary courage. The captivating account of her survival, painstakingly pieced together from the ink-stained pages of newspapers chronicling her remarkable journey both during her lifetime and later, unveils a narrative that transcends time itself. Agnes Buntine, a woman of fiery spirit and unyielding determination, fearlessly commanded her own fleet of mighty bullock teams, matching the grit and toil of any man in the untamed wilderness of early Gippsland. She blazed a trail as the pioneering maven who drove bullock teams through the rugged bush, defying the conventions that confined women to domestic roles. Legend whispers that she and her husband embarked on a perilous journey from Tasmania, seeking a new life in the vast expanse of Gippsland. Fate dealt a cruel blow when her husband fell victim to illness, rendering him unable to contribute much to their survival. The weight of responsibility fell upon Agnes's resolute shoulders, as she single-handedly raised her family. The indomitable spirit of her Scottish ancestry propelled her forward, armed with an unwavering resolve to conquer adversity. In the early days, when Walhalla gleamed as a golden town, Agnes Buntine's indomitable spirit took center stage. The mines of Walhalla required machinery to be transported from Port Albert, and Agnes became an integral part of the arduous transport operation. With her bullock team in tow, she embarked on a treacherous odyssey from the coastal shores, scaling hills and valleys, traversing the rugged terrain to Rosedale, and ultimately ascending to the heights of Walhalla. The Gippsland Times on March 31, 1932, carried a report titled White Mother of Gippsland, which described her life as follows. An old man who knew her told me, in those days, I had my own bullock team on the road. I used to meet Agnes Buntine often, yarn with her, and share each other's tobacco. She smoked an old black pipe, and plug at that. We bullock drivers never thought it odd that she should smoke. Anyhow, she did a man's work, so why shouldn't she smoke a man's pipe? But she could drive a team of bullocks as good as any bullock driver in Gippsland. The way the bullock wagons went from Port Albert to Walhalla must have been 80 miles or more. The journey took many days, 8 at least. At night, Agnes Buntine would roll herself up in a blanket and sleep under the pole of the wagon. She was a remarkable woman. The old man added, there was a time when she had 2 teams. A man drove one for her. One day, while taking out a gun from the wagon to have a shot at a kangaroo, this man was wounded in the arm. Agnes Buntine tore off a piece of her skirt, bandaged his arm, got a horse from somewhere, helped the wounded man onto its back, and told him to ride off to a township with a doctor. Then she drove the 2 teams to Walhalla. They told me that Agnes Buntine had died at Sale and was buried at Rosedale. When, no one knew. I went to the Rosedale cemetery, but I didn't find her grave. A cemetery register showed that she had died at the age of 76, on March 29, 1896. The register did not have the number of her grave. Some of the old cemetery records had been lost. But Agnes Buntine deserved a monument. Peter Synan, in his book Gippsland's Lucky City, A History of Sale, reveals a little more about her life. He writes, shortly after her feat of penetrating through some of the most inhospitable terrain of the Gippsland Ranges to bring supplies to the Walhalla miners, Buntine suffered a severe reversal. On Black Monday, February 1863, frightful bushfires raged through Toongabbie Township. Agnes Buntine, in trying to save goods in her depot, sustained dreadful burns. This tough woman survived the pain, loss, and ordeal. Agnes was the eldest of John Davidson and Sarah's 6 children. The Davidson family left Scotland and arrived in Melbourne in December 1839. It is assumed that the Davidsons migrated to Australia at the insistence of Hugh Buntine, their neighbour in Scotland, who had moved to Sydney before them. Hugh's wife, Mary, and 1 child passed away from typhoid at the North Head Quarantine Station in Sydney. Agnes and Hugh married in Melbourne on October 30, 1840. They started a dairy farm on Merry Creek before moving to Gippsland and building a hut near Port Albert in July 1841. The family also owned a small inn near Morris Creek, outside Taraville. By 1845, the Buntines established a large property called Brute-Hen Creek Station, covering an area of 3,240 hectares. Hugh opened a pub called the Bush Inn, made of slabs and bark, next to the road to Sale. Agnes arrived in Gippsland when the population was very sparse, and her first husband conducted the first burial service at Taraville. In 1851, Agnes transported a shipment of butter and cheese from Port Albert to Forest Creek on the Bendigo goldfields. Afterwards, she opened a store in that area and later at the McKiver diggings. In 1853, she returned to Brute-Hen Creek. By 1858, her family had moved to a farm near Rosedale called Flynn's Creek because her husband, Hugh, was unwell. Agnes supported her family by working in the bullocky business. Over time, she started transporting goods from Melbourne to various places in Gippsland, though she hesitated to go on long journeys. When gold was discovered in Walhalla in 1862, she took the initiative to deliver supplies to the township, despite the challenging terrain. Legend says she shot the first cow, or bullock, at Fulton's Creek, and she was known to camp all night in the bush, 20 miles from any habitation, shooting birds for breakfast. She would travel with her pack horses through mountainous country and down into creeks, supplying the diggers with food. This same old lady had tea with bushrangers in Forest Creek, before Castlemaine was properly opened up, and frequently camped in the Black Forest. She also had stores on different goldfields, and once handled as much as 1,000 ounces of gold in a day. During her wanderings throughout the colony, she met with many adventures, and was introduced to no less than 4 governors. After Hugh Buntine's death, 50-year-old Agnes married 29-year-old Michael Dore Howlett on February 17, 1873. On January 17, 1895, the Mathra Spectator carried a report titled, "An Old Identity," mentioning that Agnes had been admitted to Sale Hospital, being very ill. She eventually died at the age of 74 on February 29, 1896, in Gippsland Hospital, Sale, and was buried at Rosedale Cemetery.